Not colorblind.
I'll teach you 34th word.
I can play that game too. Okay.
2-finger touch.
This is Uncle Ken. Today is the 22nd of December 2001. And we're going to ask a bunch of questions. The first question I want you to start off with. Who are your parents?
Betty and Angus Martin.
Betty and Angus Martin? Yeah? Where were you born?
Colville, Washington.
Colville, Washington?
March 21st, 1953.
1953. Okay. Where did you go to school?
Medling Falls Elementary School and Selkirk High School.
Selkirk High School, huh? Yep. By the way, all the noise you're hearing in the background is a family who can't be quiet.
We're not
Jim?
trying to be.
We're not trying to be, I agree.
Yes. Anyway. Now, when you were going back in school, who was your favorite teacher?
I never had one.
You never had a favorite teacher?
No,
No?
I hated them all.
You hated them all? Which one did you hate the most?
Mrs. Townsend?
No, Mrs. Bates.
Mrs. Bates? Why?
She's an old bitch.
But why?
She just was an old, she must have been 60 or 70 before, when I was in the 3rd grade, and she was just...
Because she was grouchy?
Grouchy, she used a ruler a lot.
Oh boy, so she used rulers on you.
Yeah.
Yeah? For what?
Well, because I didn't do my work.
Uh-oh. So
I was a class clown. I was pegged that in the 1st grade.
Really? What
Yeah.
did you do to deserve this title?
Well, it lasted for 12 years, so...
Okay, what did you do to start it?
Just me.
Just being you, huh? Well, far out.
I was mouthy.
You're mouthy to your teacher, especially an old one. That's very interesting.
No, I wasn't really.
Oh.
I guess Mr. Taylor, he's my 5th grade teacher. He was probably the best.
Yeah?
He was the first man I ever had.
Oh, so the rest were women.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Light was my 1st grade teacher. She was real young and just starting out herself. She's a good teacher.
Yeah, so she was a
Mrs.
student
Townsend
teacher?
was a 2nd grade teacher. She, she's all right. She's a wino.
Yeah.
And she taught Debbie. And she said, "Oh no, I don't think I can handle another Martin." But Debbie was like 3rd generation, 4th generation, 5th generation. Let's see. Lucille Hooper was my 4th grade teacher. And she wrote the Patent Leather Thumping Show. It's a story about the Medley Falls area there. It's about a rabbit and a donkey. It was a good kid.
A bear.
Good.
There's a donkey in there too.
Good kids book.
Yeah?
I still have a copy signed in 1958, but it's kind of in tatters.
Have you learned to read it yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on my preferred reading list. Really, it is. It only takes about a day to read it, but it's a good children's book. I'd like to take it to school now and read it to young children, but it's something I'll never want to do. That's kind of a desire I have to do, but it's something I'll never do.
Yeah.
I don't like talking in front of crowds.
Yeah. Well, you said your 5th grade teacher was your favorite?
Well, yeah.
Yeah?
I don't think he was my favorite. He was just I guess he held me down enough to to make me pay attention.
So he almost scared you.
Then in the 6th grade we had the multiple teachers,
Ah.
and we didn't move, the teachers moved
Well, that's a very
at
good
that
idea.
time. And almost flunked the 7th grade.
Almost.
Yeah, it was tense. I had to say I'd do a little summer school, which I ended up didn't have to do, but then flew into the 8th grade. Graduated from there. Got my first suit when I was in the 8th grade.
Wow.
Got married in the same suit.
Really?
Yeah,
Who gave you the suit?
mom and dad.
Mom and dad, huh?
I don't know if I still have it or not.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
Then I went to high school. Oh boy, that's when the trouble started.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I did things in school only a child shouldn't do.
Yeah?
I told my kids when they got to school that there's nothing that I hadn't tried and done that they should even try.
Give us a few examples of what you did in your freshman year.
Yeah, it's all kind of gels together. I
Well, then just start with one of them.
started my freshman year and kind of went there through.
Yeah.
Tell them about the time you got home Canadian.
Oh yeah, that was when I was 16. Mom and Dad got a brand new 1966 Chevy car, station wagon. And I begged for months to drive to school just one time. One day, please, oh, one day. So after about 3 months, my mother finally relented. And I shot out of the house at 7 o'clock. But I picked up my buddy David Huffine and my cousin Bobby, and we went to Canada instead of going to school.
Up in Nelson?
We went to Nelson, we went to Trail, and beer in Canada is about 4 times the alcohol content as it is in the U.S., so you can get really smashed on a 6-pack. When I was 16, and you could drink when you were 19, but we was all big kids, so and the Canadians obviously didn't care. They accepted our money. And we picked up a Canadian kid. His motorcycle broke down, and we put it in the back of the station wagon. We had a big old scratch marked down the back of it.
Oh no.
With the handlebars. And we proceeded to get drunker than pigs. Well, the border closed at midnight, so you got to be back across the border before midnight or you stay the night. Well, I knew that I was late at 3 o'clock. So the consensus then, how can you be more late, you know? You're gonna get killed, that's obvious. So you might as well do it right. Well, we made the border, and I don't know if I was too drunk to remember the Canadian or said he could live with us or whatever, but we brought him home with us. So I took David Huffine and Bobby home. No, Bob came to stay with us. And we went home, and I knew I was dead meat. If the old man just killed me quick, it would be worth it, you know. Well, I went in, and Dad's sitting there on the couch. I expected to be murdered. He said, well, I'll go fix the fire. And that was down in the basement. We had this big furnace down there, burned wood in. So I went down there, and a Canadian kid sat down, started talking to Mom and Dad. And I told him that he was a kid from my own, a new kid from my own.
Oh boy.
And lied through my teeth. Well, he's talking about smokes and blokes, and you know, you could tell he's Canadian. And so I come back up from building the fire, and I'd stayed down there enough, you know, to smoke 2 or 3 cigarettes and to say my Vespers, last rites. And went back up, and all he said was, well, we'll talk about it in the morning. Well, my mother piped in, and she says, who's this kid? And I said, well, She said, he's from Canada. You've been in Canada. And I said, yeah, he's from Canada. Well, my sister Jane was there, and she was married at the time, Frank Darnell. And her and Mom took this Canadian kid, it wasn't quite midnight, and hauled ass for the border, drove across the border and kicked his ass out in the middle of the night, miles from anywhere.
Oh no.
Come back across the border and came home. Because I guess there was some law about, you know, illegal aliens. Hell, I didn't know when I was a guy. I probably knew, but I didn't give a shit. Anyway, the old man, all he said was go to bed and we'll discuss it in the morning. And I knew, man, if he'd have killed that, I expected that, but he didn't do one thing.
Wow.
And next morning came and went, and I thought, well, hey, I got off pretty easy, damn easy. And I don't know, it was about a week or two later, I forget what I done, wasn't even enough to be.
You left the snowshoe out.
No, that's when I was 12. We'll get to that story. Anyway, I wasn't even, shouldn't even been yelled at. And he liked to wail on me. Well, come to find out, the car, I'd tore the transmission out of the car.
Oh no.
So a brand new car, no transmission. So they had to have that fixed. And that was probably my biggest escapade to Canada. I made a few more trips other than that, but
And how old were you when you did that?
16,
16.
1966.
Far out. Well, you
No,
said
52.
they said something about a snowshoe. What was that all about?
Well, when I was 12, I got a pair of trail shoes, snowshoes. They're somewhere in here.
They're in the closet.
And really cool. And, I was out snowshoeing, and I had a Labrador pup. And I didn't take care of him when I come home. I just stuck him in the snowbank and left him outdoors. And the dog was outdoors, and he chewed the binding off him.
Oh no.
And I went to the show. And I come home from the show about 10 o'clock. I come walking through the door in our kitchen. We went through the door and right beside the refrigerator. And my dad was waiting around the refrigerator. Boy, he knocked me right back out in the snow. I said, what the hell was that for? Mistake. Yeah. Well, upshot, snowshoes, no bindings, irresponsible. So I had to, I forget what was moving the wood pile or some damn thing.
Moving the wood pile.
Yeah, we moved the wood pile a lot. Dad never believed in putting wood in the basement and stacking it up because the bugs would get into the house, which, you know, makes sense. So he always put it out in the pasture and just dump it out of the truck. We never did stack it. So when all snow encrusted, you know, it's got 2 feet of snow on it, you got to go out and take the maul and knock the pieces loose because they're all frozen together.
Yeah.
And put it downstairs. So every day you had to put enough for the day down the wood chute. But
Tell them the one about the school bus and the deer.
oh yeah, I did that. I was a little older then, probably 17.
Yeah.
Found a deer in the ditch on the way to school, so we grabbed it and put it in the car. That night down at the school, teacher McCone used to drive the school bus on Grandview Flats. So we waited till midnight or so, and we went down and put that deer in his school bus in the driver's seat and of course it was kind of gamey. It was in the winter time, but it was, so they wanted to know who did that, and they kind of suspected, since I lived on Grandview Flats, that that's some crap I'd pull. Of course I denied it.
Yeah. Now Grandview Flats, that's out by the Blue Desert, right?
No, Blue Desert's by the village.
Down by the village.
Yeah, it's down Padre Village.
Okay. Did you ever hang out there?
Blue Desert?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hung out with your Uncle Dave the day Chris was born in 1972 on Blue Desert.
Wow.
I had a Volkswagen and he had a Semp gun. We'd go down there and play in the sand,
Yeah.
jumping them and crap like that. But I hung out there in Blue Desert when I was a kid. Everybody did. It was a slag pile from the mine, probably hazardous material. Nowadays they'd condemn it.
Yeah.
You can't even use mine rock anymore for driveways because it's got too high a lead content.
Wow.
And the whole damn Padre County's all lead.
True.
You know,
True. Where was Grandview Flats?
it was above Padre Village, about halfway to the top of the road.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
dad was raised in the village, your dad.
Yeah, your dad was raised in the village,
Mm-hmm.
and I was one level up.
Yeah.
And then you went to the top of the hill was where you turned to go to Sullivan Lake.
Yeah. Now, you said you were the class clown. What's
Yeah.
the biggest prank you ever pulled in high school?
I put a snake in one of the teacher's drawers, a live one in a woman's drawer. I can't think of the teacher's name now. I want to say Mrs. Six, but I can't verify that.
Yeah.
It was good.
She jumped?
Oh boy. And we put a beaver in Cocky Ranchler's drawer, a dead one. And he made no, he just took it by the tail and went over to the window and threw it out. And says, I don't know who does that crap, but that's enough. I mean, he didn't get no big shake out of it.
Yeah.
Ranchler was funny. A friend of mine, David McKern, grew up with him. He was another one of the bunch. He's a little short kid. He used to get in the closet in Ranchler's room. We had these intercoms, and he'd yell out, Mr. Ranchler? And he'd say, Cocky was Ranchler's first name. And he'd go, yes? Would you send Ken Martin to the office, please? Yes. Out I'd trot, and class would get a big kick out of it because McKern was in the closet. Just stuff like that. We didn't do anything to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
We did, the closest hurting we did is when we were in shop class, we used to take the cutting torch or the welding torch and turn on the acetylene and put it in the guy's back pocket and let it run in there a minute and then stick the striker in his back pocket.
Boom.
It'd go really cool until we blew Jimmy Haugen's pocket off of his pants. That was the end of that. We were not, we didn't dare do that anymore because it was a kill offense. And it was very dangerous. We, you know, being a kid, you don't realize until something like that happens, it could have just as soon blew his ass off. The flux can used to use flux on brass, and you'd heat up the brass rod, and you'd stick it in this flux can to get flux, so it would weld and stick. Well, you put acetylene in the flux can, raw, and it was a big can like this with a little hole in it
Yeah.
for the rod to fit through. Well, when you stick that hot rod in there, it'd ignite the flux and it'd blow the lid off flux and it'd blow flux all over. And we had to quit doing that.
Hitchhiking to town.
Hey, wait. She'll watch this later. That's mom doing all the scrubbing in the background.
You couldn't hear anything in the background at the house the other night when you were taking.
Yeah, right. We'll hear this.
Bob was snoring, Bob was running, and you didn't hear nothing on the video.
Yes. Okay, did you play any sports in high school?
I wrestled.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
No, I didn't do worth a damn. My boys far exceeded me.
Yeah?
I was a wimp. What?
So what did you do if you didn't, is that the only sport
Driving
you did?
cars.
Driving cars?
Yeah.
What was your first car?
1952 two-door hardtop Chevrolet.
What color?
Blue.
Blue.
Paid $52 for it, or $50 for it.
$50.
Yeah. It was going 80 when the front hood, the motor hood, came open, broke both windshields. It was a divided windshield, but it didn't seem to slow me down any. I ran it with broke windshields till I blew it up.
Yeah?
My cousin Bobby, your Uncle Bobby, him and I, that was our hot rod.
Yeah.
And, lots of booze and lots of women.
Yeah? Yeah, how did you pay for this car?
I worked for Jimmy Golomatis. He's a local contractor.
Yeah?
Yeah, doing
Odd job?
odd jobs. I was just a kid. And,
Yeah?
wash trucks and pack cement bags and stupid stuff.
Yeah?
And he lost a lot of gas. And I siphoned a lot of gas when I was a kid. We didn't buy gas.
Yeah?
You know, it was 2 bits a gallon, but you never had 2 bits. So you'd steal all the gas you run. And so I come to work one day and was stealing it from Golomatis because he had equipment all over the country. And back in them days, it didn't use diesel on all our equipment. Most of it was gas.
Yeah?
And come to work and he had a whole handful of them swiggledy things you put in the gas tanks. By God, I'm tired of gassing up every day. I'm going to stop this gas thievery. But we weren't stealing the gas by siphoning it out of the tank. Most of the equipment had an electric fuel tank on it with a 3/8 hose. And you just stick the hose in the 5-gallon can and turn the switch on. And it'd pump while you was having a couple beers. It'd fill that 5-gallon can up. Or you'd put it right in the car and you'd wait until it started flossing out of the car. Then his garage, his shop had the gas pump on the outside of the shop, and he had a side door right by the gas pump. But the switch was inside behind the locked door. Well, if you walked behind his garage, he had a shed for his dump trucks, and the shop wasn't completed inside, so you could go up over the wall and you'd be in the shop, and you could turn the switch on, look outside, it was all open, and open the door and take the gas nozzle, bring it inside the shop, and fill up as many cans as he had there, 5-gallon cans, and then take off.
Well,
Never got caught stealing any gas.
that's cool. That's cool.
But I did, in town, I was one that was said that was stealing all the gas. I was stealing my share of it. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, so,
How many speeding tickets do you get?
oh yeah, that's a good one.
I,
Speeding tickets. 9?
no, 17.
17.
Yeah, I had a 1969 Dodge RT with a 440 and a 4-speed.
Yeah?
Hottest car in the county.
Yeah.
And I got some tickets going 150 plus, and they were all bad tickets. And I got the 17th one, and I got a letter from the Department of Transportation State Patrol that I had to go attend this class. And it depended on whether I passed this class, whether I got my license or not, lost my license. Well, all the tickets my mom paid without going to court, so I didn't get spanked in court, you know. They just kind of overlooked it because the fine was paid.
Yeah.
And well, I went to this class, and they were really going to beat up on us. There was a whole room full, and hell, there was offenders. I was mild and meek-mannered compared to some of these. There was one cab driver with over 30 tickets.
Oh, wow.
And he was a kind of an asshole. I mean, he was quite vocal.
Yeah.
And he spent the whole 3-hour class badgering 2 state patrolmen until they let us go and they passed us all. So I didn't even get flinched. I got a ticket for no mufflers. We went downtown Spokane, and we raced from light to light downtown Riverside, Spokane, all night without any mufflers. Not 440, just really sounded rough, you know. And we come back out on the freeway and got off on the exit where we lived out on Barker Road, and raining. God, it was raining by then. By God, it got pulled over about a half a block from the house, and state patrolman come up and said, you know, sound kind of loud. I said, yeah, I must have knocked a muffler off coming off from work, you know. Then he asked me where I worked and blah, blah, blah. Like say it's raining, and he's got his little condom over his Dudley Do-Right hat, you know.
Yeah.
And that dirty bastard got down on his hands and knees with his flashlight and looked under the car. Of course, both mufflers were off at the headers. And so I got a big ticket out of that.
Oh boy.
He said, what kind of crap are you trying to push? I said, just write the ticket. Then once we was leaving Spokane, we'd all hung out at the speed shop where I'd work all week and get $300, $400 running equipment. And I'd spend it all on speed crap on Friday night for my car.
Yeah.
And
Back in the tree.
the guy that owned the speed shop had a Roadrunner, and I had my Dodge, and this kid in the Oldsmobile had a W31 Olds, and it was a mean car. If I ever built another car, I'd have to consider it, because it was mean, and I didn't think I could be beat. I'd not been beat at that time. And so we got on the freeway. We kind of made a little bet there, and the guy with the Roadrunner was going to be the judge. And we raced from out in the valley clear to the Idaho border, and I never did catch the son of a bitch. And coming back, we're on Sprague Avenue coming back. We're blinking.
Yes, we are.
We've wiped out a tape already.
Yes, we have.